Thank you so much for joining us on the Retirement Compass radio show with Stonebridge Wealth Systems. Present and accounted for are Jeff Gove and John Ternus. How are you fellas?
Doing good, Jackie. How are you?
Good. Ternus?
I was going to say present, Jackie. You give me kind of a flashback. That was taking me back to the military days. All present and accounted for first sergeant, but never mind.
Okay.
So
what was
I'm
your
back
rank?
Here.
I thought you were the first sergeant.
I was.
Oh,
So who would you say that to?
To the sergeant major.
To the sergeant major?
If they were there.
If it was a battalion formation, but they weren't there.
That was your rank, your exiting rank?
Yes, yeah. So just a little flashback there, but I'm back here in 2026.
You're okay and
so
ready
we're
to
good. We're
proceed
good now.
with some
We're good. We can
retirement
proceed,
talk?
Jackie.
I remember when I was in the Army, like the first sergeant, that was like the old man. It's like, look at that old guy. You know, he's been here forever.
But you were
And
like,
that was John.
You were 18 years old. It's all relative.
Right. I didn't know you were in
No,
the
it's still
service.
the same. That's the old guy.
You were the thorn in the first sergeant's side.
Yes.
I didn't know you were in the service, Mr. Gove.
I was a medic, combat medic.
No kidding.
It's a funny story. Why did you stop being a medic, Jeff?
Why did I stop being a medic?
Yeah.
Blood?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't literally like people dying. It's not very fun.
Well, I thought it was because you couldn't stand the sight of blood. It made you
No.
crazy. Oh, that's what I heard.
No.
I'm like, you didn't know that being a medic?
No, we used to give each other IVs all the time. Like
Okay.
that part didn't bother me.
Okay.
It was the dying part.
Yeah.
Didn't love that.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's yeah.
Well, that makes a little bit of sense, that part.
Yeah. It takes special people to be in the healthcare industry for sure.
Oh, sure. I agree with that. But it's good to know that if we need to have somebody give us an emergency bag of iron or some other
can hook you
liquids,
up.
then you know how to get into the right place on your hand for an IV,
Well,
right?
I have a Band-Aid on my hand, so. But
I can take care of you.
I applied it myself. So.
Dear.
Let me see if you did it correctly.
Well, let's talk about this retirement confidence slipping. Why do you think retirement confidence dropped in 2026? Even for people who have saved for years, Mr. Ternus.
Well, it's very interesting. I read the study that we're kind of referring to from the EBRI.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, yeah, I can see that. Now there's a war with Iran. I can see people are a little bit skittish there, but it was actually published before, or it was published in April, but the study was taken through a survey January 2nd through January 28th at 2026. And part of it was like retirees have a little bit more confidence in people going into retirement. But one of the major things was the government changing the rules. I always like to think of the government kind of as a kid or grandkid, or if you don't have kids or grandkids, remember Big Daddy and he's playing the board game with the kid and the game was called I Win. Well, the kids just change the rules when that's kind of our government. And it's kind of, it is kind of humorous to think of because if you look at the way they behave too, you can kind of relate that I win. So,
Yep.
yeah. So that was one of the major things of just lack of confidence there with the government changing the rules. Social Security, is it going to be there or not? So, yeah.
I think that's a big deal. You know, when you look at Social Security, we do actually Social Security workshops around the state of Nebraska. You know, probably once a quarter we're doing it somewhere. And that is the biggest concern for people is, you know, when should I draw Social Security and is it going to be there for me? So obviously we can't guarantee you that it's going to be there for you, but what it does, it makes it more important for you to have a plan that you take it at the right age for your plan, because everybody's plan is different. For some, depending on your situation, some people could draw as early as 60, 62, 67, everywhere in between, wait till 70. Everybody's situation is different, but your plan needs to be customized just for you and based on your situation.
Who could claim Social Security at 60?
So if you are a widow, you have access to those benefits at 60, and there's a lot of different planning strategies that are available to you.
Oh, wow.
If you are a widow. So give us a call and we can walk you through some of those claiming strategies.
Very interesting. I'm happy to hand out the number for that call, 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. Good information, talking about the old Social Security claiming strategy, but what's the difference between, say, I don't know, having a portfolio and having a retirement plan? Just a portfolio. Mr. Gove, how do you feel about that?
Well, a portfolio is just that. It's, you saved money in this bucket and you're investing it. That's your portfolio. Nowhere inside of your portfolio does it say, this is how you should take money out of this. Or if you do this, this is the tax implications. That's where the retirement plan comes in. Mm-hmm. Having a written income plan, a written investment plan that says, okay, this is why I'm investing in this portfolio. This is how I'm going to draw money out of this portfolio. So a portfolio is important because it's going to help you achieve those goals, but it isn't the plan. The plan is, okay, we've climbed up the mountain. We put money in over the years. Now we're to the top. We're coming down the other side where we're going to have to start drawing on this. You need to have a plan for that to make sure you don't outlive, the money that you've saved. That's the number one concern for retirees today is, am I going to outlive my retirement? Am I going to have to go back to work down the road? Mm-hmm. How soon do I need to die to make sure that I don't run out of money? Mm-hmm. That's not the way we want to think about these things.
But some people do, don't they? That's the worst thing they're concerned with.
They do, but they don't have to.
Oh, good.
Some of these planning ideas, sitting down with us, it doesn't cost you anything. So we can help you put together the plan based on what your portfolio is. So you don't have to worry about, how do I come down the other side of the mountain? How do I draw from this? What are the tax implications? There are so many different pitfalls that you could be facing that you could easily avoid just by having a plan.
Mm-hmm. In other words, a plan explains how the assets are going to support your income in retirement. Mm-hmm. That's the number one point on the compass, isn't it? Isn't that the true north, is income, John Ternus?
Yeah. So the income plan is where it all kind of starts from. Like Jeff was saying, the portfolio, I like to look at it as just the fuel for your income plan. It's just sitting there. Fuel just sitting there isn't going to do anything. So you got to have the fuel, or that's why it becomes a fuel. Mm-hmm. And when you're looking at that, you got to have a lot of assumptions for that income plan. Okay, so what about inflation? What about taxes? How much am I actually going to have to pay in of this fuel bucket that I have for retirement? How much is the fuel is going to be diverted off to the IRS versus how much am I going to get to keep? How much are my daily expenses going to increase? So you have inflation on your just discretionary spending, but then you have healthcare inflation, which is typically and historically a lot higher than those discretionary expenses. So,
good information, and you can get a plan put together, at least start a conversation. 888-295-5146. Call Stonebridge Well Systems, 866-295-5146. And the closer somebody gets to retirement, Mr. Gove, can we test this stuff out to see if it's going to work?
Yeah, that's what we do. That's, when we put together a plan for someone, we're going to test it. So it's not just, let's put together the plan and hope we're right. We're going to put it together based on your situation, your income plan, your investment plan. Again, making sure that your money is invested in a way that's going to help you achieve your goals. Then we're going to look at your tax plan. How do we pay as little as possible in taxes? But also knowing that we're probably going to have to pay some taxes, but let's pay those at a known rate instead of just being at the mercy of the government. A healthcare plan, how do we make sure we don't leave it all to a nursing home or to, paying out-of-pocket medical expenses that Medicare doesn't cover? And then estate planning. How do we, get this money that we've worked so hard for to the next generation or to the charity, whatever's important to you, in the most efficient way possible? But we put all of that together, and then we're going to test it to see, okay, what are the odds of me making it to age 95 without running out of money? I want that to be over 80%, but obviously the closer we get to 100%, the better, right? I mean, if it's 100%, we feel pretty good about that. Mm-hmm. And what we're testing is different market conditions. We've talked about Social Security. What if they decrease our Social Security they cut it by 25 cents on the dollar. Then how do things look? We can test all of these things for you.
Good. Oh, good.
So you go into retirement with a little bit more knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Let me pop a question or a scenario onto you. What say if you've got a couple, 63 years old, statements look good, but they don't know whether they can retire in 2 years or not. Are they missing something obvious? I mean, is the obvious thing the plan?
I would say, yeah, it has to be a plan, Jackie. So they're 63. Their portfolio looks good. I'd want to clarify first what good means. Is it, it's done really well performance-wise last year, or they have a lot of assets saved?
Right, that's...
Is it in line with their risk tolerance and risk capacity? So looking at that, and then how much of that fuel tank are they going to need to divert to their income plan? What type of buckets from a tax standpoint? Is it tax-deferred money? Is it tax-free? Or is it a taxable brokerage account? But then that's how we look at those other aspects. And then having a plan for that inflation, the healthcare costs as well. So it's not just saying, yep, my portfolio looks good, I can retire. You need to have a plan and go into it educated as far as where everything's going to sit. And that reduces a lot of the anxiety for that 63-year-old couple.
Mm-hmm. So let's get a plan together, see if you're ready, if you have a broker or you have money somewhere else, or you already have a retirement planner, but you're just not sure. Get a second opinion. And if you don't have anything at all, just your savings, 866-295-5146. Where to start to get a plan together with Stonebridge Wealth Systems, 866-295-5146.
Is your retirement being eaten up by financial termites like hidden fees, inflation, and avoidable taxes? Call today for a complimentary financial review so we can help you root out these retirement killers.
I was just thinking this very thing, Mr. Ternus, is that the cost of living increase, 2.8% for Social Security? They call that the COLA. Is that enough? I mean, that doesn't really keep up with inflation. Isn't inflation higher?
Well, according to the CPIW for wage earners, that's what it was last year, and that's how they got a 2.8% increase.
Oh, hilarious. Go ahead.
But not everything is 2.8% increased. The Federal Reserve of Economic Data creates that number, but there is conspiracies. Like they have a I'm not even going to go down that road, but they have a...
Oh, come on.
They have a vested interest in both politicians saying, yep, inflation was only 2.8%. That's also how Social Security increases tied. It's how military retirement's tied to that. So the higher that is, the more they have to pay out as well. And for your political career as well, of course, it's not a politician making that thing. So I believe the Federal Reserve of Economic Data is producing that number correctly, but it's not how everything is taxed. And we're looking at Social Security. So there's a hold harmless rule when it comes to Medicare, right? And what that is stating they cannot charge you more every month for your Medicare premiums if your Social Security did not get an increase as well. However,
does it hold true though?
No, because the Medicare premiums that you pay, those typically increase a lot more than the COLA adjustment. So when it comes down to how much Social Security you get to keep, you're keeping a little bit less because you're paying higher Medicare premiums. So it doesn't account for everything.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at, because the Social Security, the COLA is a percent, right? So 2.8% of what you were receiving, that's your raise. The Medicare isn't a percent based on anything but the premium. So it's just a dollar amount increase. So that 2.8% may not cover the cost and the increase in Medicare, because the Medicare was a flat dollar amount. So depending on how much you get in Social Security, that 2.8 may not cover it. Most people made a little bit more, but I mean, we're talking a few dollars. You're not going to see that. But like John said, that hold harmless rule, if they raise your Medicare Part B premium, they have to give you a raise on Social Security. But then they're saying that's a cost of living adjustment, but you're not actually seeing a 2.8% increase, because Medicare Part B Medicare comes out of your Social Security. So some of that's taking out of one pocket and putting it in the other, for the government.
Yeah, for them.
Right.
And we don't even get the landing strip for that.
Yeah, it's just not fair.
No, it's not. So how are we gonna hedge against it? By the way, this is the Retirement Compass radio show with Stonebridge Wealth Systems, and I have Jeff Gove and John Ternus in here, and let's talk about how to hedge against that. If both of those feel unstable, and those are two things that should feel stable, what's a girl to do?
Well, I mean, having an income plan. So if you saved, we talk about having the different buckets, the safe money, the income bucket, and then the growth bucket. So if you, I guess, don't just depend on the government to supply your retirement, to fund your retirement. If you're doing that, you could run into issues. If they did cut Social Security and that's all you have, that is going to hurt a lot worse than, if you've saved for retirement and you fund those buckets appropriately, it's not going to hurt you as bad. So, yeah, making sure that you file for Social Security at the right time for your situation is really important. And then supplementing that with the assets that you've saved. So it could be an annuity with an income rider that, if you need $4,000 a month in expenses and your Social Security is $2,500, getting $1,500 from another source, whether that's rental income, it could be an annuity with an income rider. What that is it's guaranteed, it's insuring your income essentially, where you put X number of dollars into this bucket and say, I want $1,500 a month for the rest of my life. You put that money in there and it's going to pay you out for the rest of your life. You can do joint income, several options. The ones that we would utilize here, it's still a lump sum death benefit of whatever's left in that annuity. But keep in mind, it's not going to grow as much. So, if the market goes up 20% in a year, you're not going to make 20% in that annuity. So it probably will deplete itself over time. But what you're ensuring is when that account value goes to zero, you're still going to get that $1,500 a month. So that's a way to ensure your income, make sure that your income is covered. What that does for you is it allows you to invest the rest of your money with confidence in that growth bucket. Because when the market goes down, like we just saw in March, if you're not drawing money out of the market, because the market volatility doesn't impact that annuity, it's not impacting your income. You have that growth bucket where we don't have to draw on it when the market's down 10%, for example, or when the market goes down 20%, we're not drawing that down. So we can fully stay invested, let that grow back. And that's going to help us cover future inflation or cuts in Social Security or, your cost of living adjustment not being enough to cover increases in expenses. We're going to use that bucket to supplement our income in the future.
Oh, good. I'm happy to hear that, because it seems to me that those two things from the government can seem a little wonky. So something that's a little more solid. And is that an investment that you're talking about, that annuity?
It is an investment. And I don't want people to hear this and say, well, that sounds really good, I'm going to put all my money into that, because it is going to get depleted over time. We're using it for a purpose. It's essentially like setting up your own pension that you're funding.
Right.
Okay. But for your beneficiaries, odds are if you live a long life, that annuity for them isn't going to be there, right? It's going to be for you and your spouse. But again, that growth bucket, then we can invest that. Again, we don't have to freak out when the market goes down or worry about having to go back to work or anything like that, because we can just stick with our plan and let it grow. And then that's going to go to your kids. But again, don't hear that and say, I'm going to go do that. Put all my money in that. I'm going to get as much income as I can. And unless you don't have any kids, I guess, I mean, everybody's plan's different, but that's not what it's designed for. That
seems like a ride or die scenario if you're like, and it's not suitable for everyone. So that's a discussion you want to have. 866-295-5146 with some true professionals. We are allowed to call you experienced advisors, an experienced team of advisors.
We do have experience, yep.
Yes, 866-295-5146. So I'm glad to know that that's what an annuity is. It's an investment bucket. Is that what you mean?
I mean, it's a tool in the toolbox. So yes, you would
tool.
put money into it. You're investing money in that, and there's different uses for those. You know,
They
I
have
mean,
a lot of different features, right?
yeah, I mean, if you didn't do an income annuity, you could do what we would call a growth annuity, where if the market goes up, you make up to a cap. So let's say right now you can get a cap around 10% on the S&P 500. So if the S&P does 8, you make 8. If the S&P does 20, you'd make 10 if the cap is 10. Mm-hmm. So you're not going to, if your goal is to make double digits every year, it's not going to do that. It's not designed for that. Mm-hmm. But the offset is the reason they cap you on the upside is because if the market goes down, you don't lose anything. You stay even. And that locks in every year. So if you made 8% the first year and you put in 100,000, it's worth 108 at the end of the first year, right? Now, if the market goes down the second year, you stay at 108 unless you take money out of it or if there's a fee for that annuity. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people like that. The downside, and this is a big downside, is the time commitment. So all of these that are providing these guarantees are going to come with some sort of time commitment. There's some that are 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. I don't recommend going over 10 years. I've seen some that are like 16 years. You know, if it's me, I want to have access to my money. Mm-hmm. You know, to plan 16 years out and say, I'm not going to need this money. Well, a lot can change in 16 years. So
is the money locked away?
Well, you do. A lot of them, you have a kind of a backdoor where you can go in and get some of your money out. Mm-hmm. Some it's 5% of the value. Some it's 10%.
Oh, well.
Some will let you carry it for the next year. So if you don't take out 10% the first year, you can take out 20 the second year. Lots of options there. But if you want all of your money, you want to go buy a car, you're going to pay a sizable penalty to do that. So that's why you don't ever want to put all of your money in an annuity.
Mm-hmm. But that's the case even with your 401k, right? You're going to pay a penalty if you want all of it out at once.
You pay a lot of taxes. If you're
taxes.
over 59 and a half, you'd be hit with a major tax bill.
Okay.
Annuities are really good to hedge against a sequence of return risk, meaning the stock market is in a straight 8.5% every year. It's going up and down. And if you needed to take more cash out, you could take that 5% free distribution or 10% free distribution in those years to let the market recover, kind of like we saw in March and April of this year.
Mm-hmm. Very good. But the important part is to get a professional opinion on it, not maybe an opinion from ChatGPT or from Google or Meta or somewhere else, because it just depends. It's not for everyone. It needs specific advice.
Yeah, and you do have to be careful because if y'all get the invitations for the steak dinner or something like that, a lot of times they're going to try to sell you something. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times it's this type of a product where we're going to sell you an annuity. You know, what do you have? You have 100,000. You should probably do $100,000 annuity because that's how they get paid.
Oh dear.
An annuity has to be part of a plan.
Okay.
If you're if somebody's proposing an annuity to you, or you have an annuity, give us a call. Let us review it before you pull the trigger. If you're already in, we can help you review that to see if that's the right annuity for you. If you want a third party to take a look at it for you, we'd be happy to do it.
And no cost, no obligation. 866-295-5146. Call Stonebridge Wealth Systems, 866-295-5146.
As Americans, we strive for better. From a better house to a better career to a better life for our children and grandchildren. Better has become the American way. When it comes to your retirement, what does better mean to you? Does it mean more income, a flexible lifestyle, better solutions? A better retirement begins with a financial plan. To get your complimentary written financial plan, call the number you see here. You only retire once. This is your opportunity to plan for better.
Now, Mr. Ternus, I heard you say something during the break that I'm curious about, because if somebody does have a pension, maybe is a railroad, municipality, there's just not that many of them left, right?
FERS pension for government workers,
okay.
military retirees. They're co-op workers. A lot of times co-ops have a really good pension as well. So,
Well, hopefully the person who's claiming the pension has designed it for 2 lives if they're married. Am I right? We don't want that to go away once that person passes.
right, and that's something we look at. So the survivability, typically with the pension, you can take a lesser amount every month, but it's going to pay for both yours and your spouse's lifetime, or you can take the highest amount, which is only going to pay for your life. That's something we need to look at for that married couple there, because sometimes it may make sense to just take the greatest amount. Sometimes it may make sense for survivorship, just depending on how much they have saved, what their Social Security benefit is. Maybe they have a pension as well, and they don't really need their spouse's pension. But that's something that we can do and run those different scenarios and show which is going to be the most beneficial for them. But then also on a behavioral finance side, what are they going to be the most comfortable with, and kind of talk them through, but give them the numbers so they can look at it logically, but then also consider what they want as well when they're making that pension decision.
And
Well,
that's
real quick,
sorry.
there are some exceptions. So it isn't as black and white as always do the joint,
okay.
Because let's say it was $500 different from single life to joint 100% survivor. Sometimes it makes, because if you both die in a car accident, that pension is gone, right? So sometimes you'll take that $500 difference. So you to do the single life, and then you use that $500 difference to buy life insurance on the one receiving the benefit. So let's say that $500 a month bought $500,000 in death benefit, or $250,000 in death benefit. So now that individual passes away, the wife or the husband, whoever is the survivor, gets that death benefit, the $500,000. If both of them die, their kids get that $500,000.
Okay,
So
yeah.
it's a way to leverage that pension.
Yeah, you're
Right.
taking
So
that.
it doesn't just slip away. That's my point, and I feel that way about the Social Security. That's why it needs some good strategy as well, because thinking of the surviving spouse. Tell me how planning for your Social Security could benefit your surviving spouse, Mr. Ternus.
So you want to look at both your Social Security benefit and your spouse's Social Security benefit.
Okay.
When you pass away, you're only going to receive the higher of the 2 benefits there. So the higher earning spouse may want to delay taking their Social Security. Or
May, right.
Yeah. So, and then it's always May until we
yes.
look at your specific situation. But then they let their benefit grow, because that's going to be the one that the surviving spouse continues to receive when the first spouse passes away. It doesn't matter which one passes away. You're only going to get one benefit when the first spouse passes away. Like I said, may delay taking your own, maybe start the lower earning spouses earlier. But there's a lot of different ways to look at Social Security, and it really depends on your unique situation, how much you have saved, what other income sources you have, looking at those 3 pillars of retirement being your pension, Social Security, and your savings. So you want to consider those as well.
Sure. Well, I guess my point is, just hate to have that money slip back to the government or slip back to the company that was providing the pension, the private pension. So possibly a review of those things before people actually put their feet in the water and pull the trigger would benefit them greatly, potentially, and save some more money for the family, and do as Jeff suggested and look at other options to use that money for. I just hate for it to go back to the government, don't you?
Yeah. Well, in a lot of these things, when you're looking at these fixed income strategies, whether it's a pension or Social Security, you have to understand that if you make the wrong decision, it literally can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. These are probably your biggest assets for a lot of people. When you look at how much you'll receive in Social Security, when you look at how much you would receive in a pension, so making the wrong choice can be very, very costly. So definitely have a plan put together, review your options, and make sure you're making the best choice for you and your family.
866-295-5146, 866-295-5146.
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. After nearly a lifetime on the job, you should be rewarded for all the time you spent working. Whether that's crossing off items on your bucket list, learning a new passion, or rekindling the love of an old one. After all, Life isn't over when you stop working. It's the start of an all-new chapter. The one where you're the writer and you get to choose how your story will go. A way to achieve that is by having a clear financial plan to sustain your golden years. The biggest fear most retirees have is if they'll have enough money to maintain the lifestyle they've always enjoyed. Having a plan to help protect you against the curveballs life often throws will help to maintain your lifestyle. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
We're deep into the program now. Retirement Compass radio show with Stonebridge Wealth Systems, and let's talk taxes. Let's talk turkey taxes. And I just found out that Mr. Ternus, that is his love language, taxes.
You like paying them?
I thought you were going to say turkey's my love language. No,
Is it turkey
yes.
or taxes?
No, taxes is, I really like taxes. Just
You like paying them?
No, I do not like paying them.
No.
But
But strategizing them.
yeah, it's because it's one of the things that we can do as advisors where we can directly quantify how tax planning is going to affect your plan, and what
Okay.
you're doing now may or may not work, but and you're paying more in the IRS maybe because it's how the investment is structured and you're getting ordinary income versus long-term capital gains, and or stepping up the basis because you're in that 0% federal capital gains tax bracket. So you strategically step up the gains before you need the money and pay that 0% federal tax. There's just a lot you can do in taxes, and knowing the rules of the game. That toddler from Big Daddy who is playing the I win game, so you're learning their rules, and they're going to constantly change the rules. But so I love taxes. At
Wow.
least tax planning, not taxes. So
Wow. Tax
have a whole
planning with
bunch of angry
Ternus.
clients coming
Yeah.
calling me up, and
They just shut off the show. They're like, this guy likes taxes.
like he's done. No.
We could do a whole nother show, taxes with Ternus.
Ooh, that's kind of catchy.
TWT.
Why can taxes become more complicated after somebody retires then?
Well, the rules change. So, like I said, that toddler changing the rules of the game, that's what happens when you retire. Believe it or not, so think of little John Ternus here, about 1 week old. That's when Social Security became taxable, signed into law by Ronald Reagan in 1983. Up to 50% of your Social Security benefit is included in income. Then a few years later, Bill Clinton made up to 85% of your Social Security benefit becoming taxable as regular income as well. And then that compounds. So you have income from your IRA distribution, which now brought Social Security to become taxable. Well, now you may not be in that 0% federal capital gains tax bracket, and you sold some Google stock, or let's just say Apple for John Ternus' sake.
All right.
Sold some Apple stock, and then you realize the capital gains. So now you realize 15% capital gains taxes on there. All those taxes compounded on you. So taking that $1 more out of your IRA may have essentially 50% of it, 49.95% in that perfect tax scenario, become taxable. And you don't realize that how they compound, because you just have your accountant do your 1040 return, and you don't ever see what the consequences of one of your decisions that you had when it comes to tax planning.
So consequences, it matters when and how you claim post-retirement, pre-retirement, right? Getting ready.
There's a little bit of planning you can do pre-retirement as far as maybe employer options that you have when it comes to tax planning, but it's pretty, for most individuals that come through our office, and sometimes this is just most, you're determining whether you save for retirement in a tax-deferred account, meaning I don't want to pay taxes now, I want to pay it in retirement. For the farmers, thinking of I want to pay tax, or I don't want to pay taxes now on the grain, I'll pay taxes on the harvest because taxes will be less. That's your tax deferred. Or you can save tax free, where I want to pay taxes on the grain, but I don't want to pay taxes on the harvest. So it's really not as much you can do when you're still working and in that accumulation phase, but those first years in retirement, that's when you have a lot of flexibility to determine how you're going to manage your tax bracket. You may delay taking Social Security just so you can do a little more tax planning, do a little more aggressive Roth conversions those first couple of years. Maybe it makes sense, maybe it doesn't. But those first years in retirement, that's where you have a lot of control and power to make tax planning decisions. And then once you hit that required minimum distribution age, that's when a lot of your tax planning, you have to take those required minimum distributions first, then you can do conversions. But there's a lot you can do with taxes that just, I think, alone justifies what we do. And just if we dove into just tax planning, but we're looking at the investment planning as well, making sure that portfolio is in line, your income plan, healthcare planning, and legacy planning. But I like taxes. My eyes light up a little bit.
Wow. So here's how to reach John Ternus, 866-295-5146. Taxes with Ternus, 866-295-5146. I think that's a lot of value to what you're saying. Maybe some people would want to delay claiming that Social Security so they can convert some money to Roth, right?
Yeah, because like I said, up to 85% of your Social Security benefit could be taxed as regular income. So if you're not having to have 85% of that benefit be taxable, that gives you that same amount that you can convert that year. And then your Social Security benefit is going to grow another year. Of course, you never want to wait till after the age of 70 to start your Social Security benefit. But
it seems to me that the required minimum distribution age is the exact wrong age that people want their taxes to go crazy. And, you know, you got $1 million and you are not using this money, right, for regular sustainability of your lifestyle. Then you turn 73 and now you're sunk in taxes.
Yeah, I've met with individuals who they're not taking a lot of money. They've saved a lot and it's all tax deferred, but
that's what I meant.
Yep, I'm qualifying for the homestead exemption, so I'm not paying property taxes on my house. Well, that's great for this year, but when you hit that required minimum distribution age and how you're invested, you're looking at bumping up and paying more in Medicare. You're
right.
Like, it's just going to compound. It's that tax torpedo or tax bomb, or I like to think of it as kind of a glooming storm cloud where it's spring in Nebraska, so a glooming storm cloud and the storm's building over the plains. And is it going to hit you with that tax tornado? Coined a new one for you.
There you go, the tax tornado.
I'm writing as fast as I can over here. Taxes with Ternus and tax tornado.
Lots of T's.
Lots of T's, Ternus. 866-295-5146 for Stonebridge Wealth Systems Retirement Compass radio show. Of course, taxes is one of the points on the Retirement Compass, so get a professional looking at your situation. It's really essential so you don't send a bunch of money over to the government again. 866-295-5146. Potentially, it could be avoided. So is this what we're talking about, the overlap of tax timing and investment decisions too?
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly why we built the Retirement Compass the way we did. Because if let's say your portfolio does really well, you have an income plan, but you don't have a tax plan, and you're getting the income that you want, your investments are growing, and then you hit that magic age of 73 or 75, depending on when you were born, and now you got this pile of money that's coming in. That you didn't need because your income plan is good, your investments have grown, that's all great. But now you got, let's say it's $50,000 in required distributions that is going to kill you from a tax perspective. You're definitely paying tax on 85% of your Social Security. When you look at how much of your money you actually get to keep, it's a lot less. When you look at the tax implications to your kids, that's why we have the legacy plan in there, because these required distributions, these tax deferred accounts, your kids are going to pay tax on that when they receive it, and they're going to have to take it all out within 10 years. So if you have one child and you have $1 million in your IRA, they receive all of that at once. They can take that out over 10 years. So it's a minimum of $100,000 a year with no growth. It all has to be depleted. That income is going to be stacked on top of their income. So that's why all of these things work hand in hand. If you're missing one of these plans, it could be catastrophic. It could cost you thousands and thousands of dollars.
Of course, the person would be happy to receive $100,000 in an inheritance, but then you don't want this to become a burden.
Well, what if we could give them the $100,000, but tax free? What if they could, instead of letting it grow tax deferred for 10 years and taking money out. What if we could let it grow an additional 10 years tax free after you're gone? So then it's a benefit, right?
Right.
So that $1 million, rule of 72 should double in 10 years, right? If we average 7.2%. So now that $1 million is $2 million and it's all tax free. Then they have to take it out. They have $2 million tax free. As opposed to the other where they're getting hammered on taxes every year. If they're drawing Social Security, now they're paying tax on their Social Security. It's just, you have to have a plan. And again, that's why we built it the way that we did.
Yeah, without a plan when it comes to those tax deferred accounts, really, you don't realize it, but you're naming the government as a beneficiary. And I don't know if you really want to. Maybe you do, but
I don't think most people do. That's why.
No.
No, they need to consult StonebridgeTaxBill.com. StonebridgeTaxBill.com. This is a nice landing page so you can get some more information on how your qualified accounts, they're qualified to be taxed. Is that why they're called that?
Yep, those tax deferred accounts.
Yes, all right. So again, it's StonebridgeTaxBill.com, or simply place the call into the firm, 866-295-5146, and have a look at your retirement plans before you pull the trigger on retirement. Or if you're already retired, 866-295-5146. As Mr. Ternus said, there's a sweet spot where you can get a little bit of breathing room there to convert some of that money so that RMDs aren't so poisonous once you get into your 70s. It's weird to think that your own money is going to come back to bite you. I don't like that concept at all, John.
no. Well, you were told, save for retirement, taxes are going to be less than retirement. Like that was just what everyone has been told. And the Roth IRA came out in the late 90s, and Roth 401k was like late 2000, I think 8 or 9, that time frame where that came about. But it just didn't. Everyone just saved tax deferred, and now there's other options. But you didn't have those when you started playing the game. And as I said, they changed the rules as you're playing it. I think for the better by creating those accounts. But yeah.
Well, again, on the number, 866-295-5146. Call Stonebridge, 866-295-5146.
Did you ever think your retirement would be shared with our government? It's true. Your traditional 401k, IRA, pension, or similar retirement accounts are like a partnership with the IRS. Simply put, they want their tax dollars, and you have them. With our latest tax calculator, you can plug in your own numbers while sitting at home. To find out what your future tax liability could be, scan the QR code or go to StonebridgeTaxBill.com.
Retirement. It all sounds fun unless you don't have a plan put together. That's why we're here, to get that plan done. Call Stonebridge Wealth Systems, 866-295-5146. They have the Retirement Compass, and they're going to show you all the points on there. Retirement Compass radio show, in fact, 866-295-5146. And I've got Jeff Gove, John Ternus. I'm Jackie Selby. Healthcare costs. What about this Medicare decision stuff that happens? What are the 2026 Medicare issues maybe retirees are worried about before they finalize their income plan? How's this all fold in together, Jeff?
So for a lot of people, this is the decision that they're trying to make of delaying retirement. I'd like to retire at 62, but I got to figure out health insurance from, to bridge that gap until Medicare age till 65.
Yes.
And if anybody's shopped for health insurance these days, it's crazy expensive. It's really, really expensive. And the benefits are terrible. It's like catastrophic coverage with catastrophic premium.
Yeah.
It's a win-win for someone. But once you hit 65, then you go on Medicare. But one thing that's important for everybody to know is Medicare is not free. It's not free health insurance. You're going to pay. Part A is you've already paid for. Part B has a premium, which this year it's like $202.90. Yeah, $202.90, which that's going up every year. Earlier in the show, we talked about your COLA on your Social Security being tied to this. And that's what we're talking about. So that 202.90 for Medicare Part B, if that goes up, they have to give you a raise on your Social Security. And then you have to do Part D, or you don't have to, but you should, because if you don't, you'll pay a penalty for not having it.
Oh.
Part D is your drug plan. So you have to buy a drug plan. Then you'd also get a supplement. So by the time it's all said and done, you're paying $300 to $400 a month in premium. The nice thing, though, is your deductible for Part B is $283. So it's a low deductible plan for, that $300-$400 that you're paying. Compared to, a major medical where you're paying $700 a month or something like that for a $10,000 max out of pocket or something like that, where it's very expensive either way.
Is very expensive.
Yeah. But, we've talked about taxes. We've talked about, a little bit about Roth conversions, getting that money out of those tax deferred accounts and into tax-free accounts, which everybody should look at doing. Not saying everybody should do it, but everybody should look at it, at least explore it. But you do have to be careful. So don't hear us saying everybody should do a Roth conversion. You should do a Roth conversion. You go home and that $1 million IRA I was talking about, you go convert that whole IRA. You're going to pay a lot of taxes, and you're also going to get to pay more for your Medicare.
Oh, dang.
So there's income-related monthly adjustment amount. So if you make over certain thresholds, your Medicare Part B premium goes up and your Part D premium goes up. So you have to be careful about that.
Just that year? Just that 1 year? Or does it
It's
follow?
going back actually 2 years of your income. And so you're going to do that conversion. You're going to have a really bad tax year that year. And then a couple of years later, you're going to feel that pain every single month on your Part B expense there.
The Part B never reverts back to the 292,
Well, then
92,
the
09,
next year
whatever?
it'll go. So it'd be
Okay.
that 1 year you're going to have a really bad year.
I see.
But it's just kind of 2 years later. So you're like, man, I paid a lot of taxes 2 years ago, and now I'm paying more. What we've seen in working with some clients, so since it is income related, they may not need that income, but they're into a lot of CDs or a lot of money market accounts, and they're showing this income, and then they inadvertently bump up their IRMA payments every month there with Medicare too. So that's something that we look at from the investment planning to taxes to going on to your healthcare planning. Another, if you are looking at retiring early, we kind of talked about the ACA and Obamacare there. Maybe if you're in your late 50s, maybe it makes sense to do some conversions now as well. So you can withdraw from, say, if you're going to retire at 62, 63, from that Roth IRA, which your income is going to be lower because those withdrawals from the Roth IRA, being qualified withdrawals, aren't going to be part of your modified adjusted gross income.
Oh,
I know
good.
I'm throwing a whole bunch of stuff out there.
No,
but
I think I'm
basically
following.
what we're doing is getting your income lower.
Yes.
So then your projected income for Affordable Care Act is less. So then your premiums are less for those couple years in retirement. So it may make sense to withdraw from the Roth IRA those first couple years in retirement before 65, and then start drawing from other places and do conversions or whatever it may be later. So
Yeah, I think one thing John said was key was, looking at that CD income, because there's a lot of people out there that have hundreds of thousands of dollars in CDs because we want to keep that safe. We want to earn some interest, which is fine. So that 3 to 4% that you're making, that shows up on your 1040. So it's got to be reported on there, and you're going to pay income tax on it. So I just had a lady here recently that, I looked at her tax return. She had about $38,000 in taxable interest, and that was all from CDs.
Golly.
So you back solve that. She probably has $800,000 to $900,000 in CD invested in CDs. She's not taking any of the income. She's not using any of the income off of those CDs. But what that did is it caused her to pay more for her Medicare. So if you're on Medicare and you have a bunch of money in CDs, I would strongly suggest that you give us a call, because there are other options where you can still grow that money safely. But if you buy an asset that's appreciating and it's not spinning off income that you don't need. It's just appreciating. You don't have to pay tax on that until you sell it. So if you hold, whatever this investment is for over a year, it's a long-term capital gain. If you sell it within a year, it's a short-term capital gain. But the important thing about that is it's a choice. I'm choosing to sell that investment, to go do something different with it. So I understand I'm paying taxes in that circumstance. But if I don't need it, or if I don't need to sell it, then I'm not going to pay tax on it until I do. If you end up never needing it, then it goes to your kids or your beneficiaries tax-free. They get a step up in basis, so they don't pay tax on the gains. They could be looking at an inheritance tax. It's not going to avoid that. We're just talking income tax here, but that could lower your tax rate today and make sure your Medicare stays where it should be.
That's very good. The inheritance tax is state to state. It's not federal. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
There is a federal, but the limits are really high.
Yeah. Well,
All right.
in federal, it's in a state tax. Inheritance tax, the individual receiving the funds or assets pays a tax. The state taxes, the estate pays it. So, and that's Nebraska, we have an inheritance tax, so the beneficiary is going to pay it. The federal estate taxes, the exemption's really high and doesn't apply to a lot of people. So,
All right. 866-295-5146 to talk to the experts at Stonebridge Well Systems. 866-295-5146. Is there anything else that you want to talk about in this Medicare world, and can we talk a little bit more about legacy planning? What's your pleasure, Mr. Gove?
So one thing that just came to mind, just something I've been dealing with, is from a legacy planning perspective. I've got a client that her husband passed away. He had children of his own from a prior marriage. His wife, that's a client of mine, didn't adopt those children. So she still wants those boys to be her beneficiaries. She doesn't have any kids. She treats them like they're her kids, but legally they're not her children. So from a legacy perspective, when you look at how in the state of Nebraska, how they would inherit, they're not a family member. So state of Nebraska, for a family member, a close family member, they're going to pay 1% on anything over 100,000. For someone that's not a child,
A legal
in this
child,
case,
right.
yeah, and not adopted, it's 15% over, is it 40,000?
that's
Golly.
category 2. I think they'd be category 3.
Category
But,
3.
Yeah.
So it'd be a lot of taxes.
Right.
So what we're doing for her is life insurance actually avoids the state of Nebraska inheritance tax. So we're using some of these assets that we're going to go to these boys to purchase life insurance on her. So when she passes away, they'll get this lump sum, which there's 2 boys. They'll each get little over 500,000 in death benefit. So income tax free, and it avoids that inheritance tax. So it's a way to kind of bypass that, because when you're talking 15%, that's significant.
Sure. I mean, I hate to be flippant, but who wouldn't want that?
Right. Well, it's just planning. Again, that's why we built the process the way that we did. This is covered in the legacy plan. Okay, we have the assets. That the goal is, if there's money left over, she wants to go to them. How do we do that the most efficient way possible? This is what we're doing. And originally, she's early 50s. Originally, we looked at using an annuity to fund that life insurance. Because she's early 50s, it really doesn't make sense to do that, because the income that's going to be produced from that annuity, it was between 4 and 5%. Well, I can keep that money invested and growing and take out that 4%, 5%, and she should be fine. Where the annuity makes sense, it would be, if I'm working with someone that's 70, for example, where now we're taking out 8% of that account. If I take out 8%, you're probably going to deplete it eventually. So I do the annuity. If there's anything left in the annuity, it's also a lump sum death benefit along with the life insurance. So I don't want to take that risk of them depleting the account, and then they got to come up with the premium for the life insurance every year.
Right.
For her, it didn't make sense to do that. But it's something that you need to consider. If you have stepchildren that are not adopted, that are going to be your beneficiaries, you need to look at options to help get more of your money to them in the most efficient way that you can. With, if we can, like John said earlier, if we can cut out the IRS or the state of Nebraska as a beneficiary of your account, we want to do that.
You bet. And here's how you can do it. You can call 866-295-5146. Get a professional sit down with the team at Stonebridge, 866-295-5146. You could also go to stonebridgelegacy.net, stonebridgelegacy.net.